Hello, my name is Alicia Drake, and welcome back to Coffee and Conversations. Our goal is to create transparency in the world of real estate and to expose the nuances that are typically only privy to agents and brokers. My guest today is Cindy Ambuehl, one of Los Angeles' most sought-after real estate agents, and who has consistently ranked as a top producer in one of the world's most competitive luxury real estate markets. She's spent 22 years in the entertainment industry as a prominent actress and model, and for the last 12 years as a full-time agent. She has been named one of Hollywood's top 30 real estate agents by The Hollywood Reporter, and has been recognized by Variety magazine as one of Showbiz Real Estate Elites. With a typical sales price between $6 and $8 million and averaging a closing of 20 transactions a year, she still has time to be a loving wife and a mother of 6 champion boys. Please welcome Cindy Ambuehl. Our topic today is what affects the market. Can you give us your viewpoint on that?
I wish there was only one single factor determining our market, but we have so many variables outside of our control that we are reactionary to that truly drive the market up, drive it down. It's interest rates. It's what's happening. Look what just happened with Malibu with natural disasters, right? We had fires, we had floods. All of those things affect our market. So we really have to focus on what are the things we can control. Sure. So I would highly advise in this market focusing on price. It doesn't matter if you're a $2 million client, a $20 million client, it's price sensitive. At every price point, it's price sensitive. So I think what's happening is people are losing sight of the importance of that. Sellers have gotten really excited about the fact that we live in a bubble, and they're pricing these homes in these outrageous numbers, and buyers are putting their hands in their pockets. Buyers are holding. Buyers are a little nervous right now. What's happening politically, what's going to happen with interest rates, what's going to happen with the 2020 elections. Like, there's so many different things coming up that are having buyers hold back. Sellers have to be a little bit more understanding of the market. And when they continue to keep their homes overpriced, they're going to sit. And that's going to keep inventory heavy in the market. Buyers are going to hold, and we're going to be a little static.
And what do you feel about the adage of what goes up must come down? Do you think that that has an impact on our market?
Well, I think it does in a good way. I think that in LA, you can look back to every lull in the market. LA is always the last to go down, but it's the first to recover. So we are in a little bit of a bubble. If you look at the rest of the country compared to what we're doing, even in a slow market, we're far exceeding the other markets, and we continue to. So yes, what goes up must come down, and to that, I like a healthy correction. I think that when the prices continue to go up like this, the only option is for it to go down at the same pace. So when we have a little bit more of a steady up, we're going to have a little bit more of a steady down. And that's healthier for anything. It's a healthy correction. So we're still in a very strong market. But again, we're the last to fall. We're the first to recover. It's a good place to be.
I love that. What do you think is the single biggest thing that can happen to kind of help correct this phenomena of the market starting to go in that downward direction?
Well, I think communication with your seller is key. I think a lot of agents are afraid to speak the truth to the seller. Every seller thinks their house is the greatest home ever built, and people should overpay because of the memories they have in that house raising a family, and I respect that, but I think communication is key. Agents really need to sit down with the seller and say, look, I can set the price, but the market's going to set the value. So let's be really smart about this. In the good old days, the seller used to say, here's my wish list price. Knowing the buyer's going to come in maybe 10% lower. They're going to come down, buyer's going to come up, good old-fashioned negotiating, you meet somewhere in the middle. That hasn't happened in years. It hasn't happened in years. So what's happened now is buyers hold. They wait. If they think it's overpriced, they wait for the seller to drop. The seller's riding the market down. That's not good. That's not good for the seller. Now his product, is it a damaged product? Why doesn't anybody want it? Everybody wants what somebody else has, right? So if nobody else wants that house, they don't want it either. You never want to ride the market down. So the best thing to do, and I really think it would be so helpful, is for agents to be really honest with their sellers and say, look, let's come in and list it at a price lower than what you want. Let's entice the market. Let's get some activity. Let's incentivize buyers to come and put pen to paper. Let the market drive it up. So maybe instead of if you think it's a 5.1, 5.2 price, let's price it at $4.99. Mentally and emotionally, I'm getting this house for $4 million. It's the mentality of it. Put on at $4.99, let the market drive it up, get into a bidding war, you're gonna end up at your number. But if you overprice it, it will sit. And that's what we're seeing in the market. Buyers are smart, buyers are savvy, buyers have way more access to comps, to the market, to what that seller paid for it, what that seller owes on it. So buyers now calculate all of that before putting pen to paper. So you have to know that going in. We've got very sophisticated buyers. Don't overprice your house.
That is great advice, Cindy.
Thank you.
On the other side of that, what advice would you give to buyers when they're looking at a house that's been sitting on the market? How would you instruct them to talk to their agents on getting that excellent price now that the property's been sitting there on the market? How would they go about that?
First and foremost, again, communication. The buyer's agent needs to call the listing agent and just have an honest conversation. That's why relationships are so important in this business. You want that listing agent to pick up the phone when you call. You want to call that listing agent and say, look, I know you've been on the market for a really long time. My buyer is interested, but not at your price. Even at your reduced price, they're not interested. How low do you think your seller is willing to go? Can we put a deal together? Start the dialogue. Get that seller excited that you have their buyer. Then you also need to talk to your buyer on what is the most you're willing to pay for it, and what are you okay walking away at, like, meaning what are you going to be okay losing it for? So if somebody's holding on saying, oh, I'm only paying 5.5, I'm not going to go to 5.75, right? That difference, is that worth walking away for? Are you going to be okay losing it for a $25,000 differential? So these are conversations to have with your buyer, but you also need to have open communication with the listing agent. You find out things. They want to sell the house.
Wow, that's great advice. And I know people are really going to appreciate hearing that and being exposed to the transparency on the other side of what we're looking at and how to serve our clients best. So I hate to wrap this up, but I'm going to wrap this up, and I have one last question for you, and I'm going to veer a little bit off topic with this one. What impact would you like to have as a highly successful woman in a mostly male-dominated industry?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I think that's going to have to be a follow-up show. Confidence, stay true to who you are, have a voice, you're worth listening to. Speak up for what you believe in, fight for what you believe in, and never, ever let ambition rule your integrity. The integrity always has to win out every time. And when it does, you'll be respected. Men and women, they'll listen.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. Join us next time as we talk about Malibu and the opportunities that exist after the fire.